the computer blocks?
It's gonna be okay, I think, but move it from time to time. I don't know.
Okay.
So it didn't stop recording at all last time, but I don't know. Welcome to the 8th episode of the Two Facet podcast. I'm Matt Mikulski and I'm here with Juncal, my co-host. Hello, Juncal.
Hey, I'm Juncal and I'm here with Matt.
Yeah.
Maybe for those who is the first time listening, I'm product designer and Matt.
I'm a product manager. Welcome. Yes. So as every time in the episode, this time also we came with the topic. So we have some topic in mind. What's the topic this time? Do you want to spoil to the
I'm going to spoil. The topic is prioritization.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically when we have to work on things, projects and stuff, where do we start? What do we do first?
Yeah, how we pick the ones we want to work on, no?
Exactly. Yeah. And we can talk about it from two perspectives. Maybe you can talk about this from more like strategic product, and I can share my experience more like from the tactical team.
Yeah. Let's totally do it. One trick I would do is like, actually let's maybe try to do tactical first, and then we can say from where those things come from with the strategical approach. But let's maybe show a bit more for the people how you do it on the tactical side. But maybe let's start with like a definition or why you even need prioritization.
What is it and why? Yeah. Question could be like, okay, if you know what to do, why don't you start from the beginning and just do it? Right?
Yeah, but it's always hard to pick the beginning, no? And the prioritization techniques or methods that we're gonna be talking about are more for helping you to make a better decision where to start, probably.
And even what to do, right?
Or what to do, yeah. Because
we work on an environment in technology that it's quite uncertain. So you're not sure.
You're not sure, and then you need to take some risks. And then prioritization just helps you to, de-risk stuff. I know I'm saying de-risking in every episode, but well, what can I do?
Okay.
Where shall we start? So we said tactical. So what do you do usually? Like, let's say you have a project, right? And then any project will turn into like 25 different tasks. How do you pick the ones to start with, or what do you do when the project starts?
Exactly. So let's say the project starts and I am with the developers inside the team and we need to start working on it. So I would say there's two different scenarios. One would be like a more traditional one that you even find in Scrum and stuff, which is first you do the design and then you pass the work over to the developers. And in that case, there's a risk that the designer can become like a bottleneck, right? So you don't want to have the developers waiting for you. So in that case, if you have like a different task to choose from or different projects, I would start for the one that requires less design, so I can deliver faster, so I'm not like a bottleneck anymore. And then developers can start working on it, and in the meantime, I can kind of focus on the other one that it's more complex.
Yeah, okay. Got it. So this way you can buy yourself a bit more time, no? It's like
exactly. It's like
the
a
guy's
trick.
Gonna get already busy, so you have some free time to design in the meantime.
Exactly.
Okay, but you said there are two scenarios. So what's the other scenario you have in head?
Yeah, so the other scenario that I tried recently is when the designer starts working with the developer in parallel. So the developer is not waiting for the design to be finished to start working. Okay. So in that case, what we do, we kind of sync together to define the solution on a high level. And then after that, the first thing to tackle would be the thing that has more unknowns. Okay. So the things that we can find more surprises, more things like can break or stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But then, when you're building a solution and this design, and you're picking like what has the most uncertainties, are you looking at the whole project like you would do in the first scenario, or you're trying to divide the project into smaller groups when we're working with the developer? It's more like you design together the whole solution and then the guy ghost disappear and start coding for 3 months, whatever design you agreed?
No, we decide together the whole solution to then be able to have the vision of those pieces.
Okay.
And then we can agree like, okay, this is the piece where we see like more danger or unknown. Let's start working on that one.
Okay.
So yeah, I wouldn't like start working on everything and then the developer will wait for it. So I can start working on that one. And since we already have the solution on a high level agreed, the developer can as well start working on some other connections, mocking some stuff. Yeah. And then we would again like move to, okay, so which one is the next one that has
the like most unknowns?
More
okay.
unknowns and stuff. Yeah. This is more or less how we do it. The first one might sound tricky because maybe you have different projects and still there is priorities inside the projects. Yeah. And you might be picking a small one, which is not like a super high priority. But yeah, it's for the sake of not like stopping the rest of the team working.
Yeah. It's more like time management, just like trying to put as much as possible. Nice.
But how do these tasks come to us, or these projects, let's say, like why these ones and not other ones?
Yeah, that's probably coming from strategical guys, no? So I should say something smart. So I can tell something that will look like a process, but it's actually all of the stages I will say are co-occurring. So it's everything I will say, it's happening at the same time.
At the same time, okay.
Yeah, imagine this multi-universe. But it's like some time ago in a company, we actually used services of one of the consultants in the market that are helping with like organizing efficient teams and how to manage this kind of knowledge and things like this. Itamar Gilad. Hey, I like if you're watching that. Itamar is an amazing person. And one of the things that he taught us, and I really like it, was the idea of an idea bank.
Okay.
He calls it idea bank. You can call it backlog. You can call it spreadsheet with projects I need to run. But what's important in that idea was that you have a list of prioritized things that is always living. So imagine you have some objective, right? So you have your quarter goal, annual goal, whatever objectives your team has. So you have that. For this, you're gonna have ideas how you can approach this objective. So you can do it through features, but maybe changes in the market, or maybe some iterations somewhere, or you need to research ideas, but you have some points to start with, right? So then if you apply one of the prioritization methodologies like RISE or ICE and score all of the ideas you have towards the objective, you actually see which ones you need to work more on, which ones are more low-hanging fruits, which ones are like, oh, this should be the thing we should build next, or the ones that have the most uncertainty. So for example, we've been using the ICE framework, which stands for impact, confidence, ease. So the first part of it, it's like how impactful for your objective gonna be the given idea. So you can look at it and just assume and relate to other ideas you have in your bank. Later, you have confidence. So this one is how confident you are about this idea. So how many evidences you have about this idea being true. Because and Itamar, we will link it in the episode description, actually has a scale on how to decide how sure you are, where your self-conviction or alignment with the objective is 0, 1 out of 10 of an impact. Like the most impactful idea can be like all of the competition has it and you run it on production and you people want this small feature, then you have then you're 10 confident.
But is confidence just intuition? Or
it should be backed by evidences. So initially it's intuition. Sometimes you will have, so usually how it goes is like you have a bunch of ideas, so you write them down and then trying to prioritize them one by one, you start thinking of, okay, so for this one I have this evidence, so maybe some other similar part of the system works similarly, or you have previous research pointing you there, or maybe competition is showing. And then the point is just for you to be able to say to yourselves how important, so how confident yourself are about it given the all the knowledge you have. And then the last one is ease, so how easy it is to build. And then you multiply all of this by each other, and from there you get a score. And it's not that important how big score is, but it's important to get the position, because basically the things that are on top are the most impactful things that are fairly easy, but then the confidence is changing them. And what you should be going for is the ones that you have the least confidence, really. So you have on top things that you are pretty confident about them. The ease is measured and you know the impact, right? So you have them pretty high. And the things that are lower, even if impactful, they may have low confidence.
Yeah.
So what you try to do is like the things from the top are basically the things that the team is working currently, or this is the mid-short term strategy. Is like, okay, through research or any other techniques, we verified that those are the ideas, problems, or however you're gonna call them, for teams to work on. And then the stuff that's lower in an idea bank, it doesn't mean it's gonna happen later. It's more like you need more evidences.
Yes, you might need to discover more,
Exactly.
right, to answer questions. And
so then you can run A/B tests. You can run like actual product tests, experiments. So you can run some experiments with customers, or you can just run more research.
Yeah.
To get more confidence, to understand, oh, maybe it's I'm more confident, and then with confidence also the impact changes. So you may find out that some of the things are more impactful, or you will do more research and you will find out that the problem you're trying to solve is real, but it's less impactful than what you believed initially.
Yeah.
And then this automatically goes lower in the list. So, you know, whatever is picked from the top is always verified, and then it's the things lower are being verified. What's also fun is like, you should assume that after releasing the idea from the idea bank, you should change the purity of it, because you now know more. So you released.
Okay.
And you don't know if you're solving the objective already, if idea was valid, invalid, and things like this. So Itamar actually proposes that to go like scientifically. So you should run experiments and then with proper hypothesis and verify if those hypothesis was meant, and then decide further. But all of this is for this. So you launch a first iteration and you see how it's going. So you may see, hey, impact is lower or higher, or hey, it doesn't really work, so this may spark another idea that's going to be higher, and it may be a step that's next iteration of the first idea you had, but it may be pivoting it based on what you know now.
Yes, so the idea bank is not like a to-do list, like I did it, it disappears.
No, it's just
changes
living, every time living organism, I would say, that just changes the position according to what you know, and then the things go up, go down. Sometimes they disappear or they are kept super low for a reason, but that's the idea. And here we were using the ICE methodology. You could use RICE, which is adding a reach to all of I said. So how many customers I can reach with the idea I have. So sometimes when you're thinking about companies, maybe you're not attacking the whole group of customers. Maybe you want to attack only specific groups of the customers. Then reach makes a bit more sense for you to, you know, justify the given idea or a feature or problem.
Because in a way it won't be impactful if you're just like attacking 100 of thousands.
Exactly. And one tip I would give to everybody listening or watching is, whenever you're trying to set those scores, don't spend too much time on it. So don't over-engineer. We even like previously, before pandemic and everything, when we were working more in the office, we were working with some idea banks sometimes, right? And it's more about to understand the scope and how risky is the given feedback or how impactful it can be, than being perfect at it. Because sometimes it's like you will spend 2 weeks trying to get the right data, measurements and everything in order to get the evidences for your idea, and you would spend 2 days just launching it, trying, and then failing, worst case scenario. So it's more to, you should be improving that in time and giving more data, but you shouldn't be obsessed if it's 6 or 7 on one of the scales.
Or 6.5.
Exactly. It's more relative to each other, and you should be looking at it as a mega trend of whatever you're building or working on. You can look at it.
And in both, like in ICE and RICE, there's the effort as well, right?
Effort there is. So different people use different. So sometimes it's effort, so how hard it is to build, and sometimes it's ease, so how easy it is to build.
Okay.
And then it basically changes a bit how the formula will work. So if it's an effort, I would recommend, but that's probably not any standard, to divide by effort. So you multiply impact and confidence and divide by effort to get like the ideas that are less so they require less effort higher. And if you're using is, it's multiplying by is, so you get like the is 10 is super easy, 1 is super hard. So if you multiply by that, this gives a bigger boost to, again, a bit easier ideas to ship first. And you know, this hardness also change that's the problem of living in the idea bank, because everything's concurrent, so you never finish stuff, and then you always find stuff constantly. So it's like you may have an idea that's like super costly to build, so it's a super complicated technical project, but in order to run it, you're gonna want to run few experiments to verify if you have enough evidences, right? And with those experiments, it's gonna start being easier, so the ease or effort goes up or down depending on which one you use in time, because the same idea, it doesn't need to mean you attacked once. Actually, you should be attacking that with much smaller experiments or features that can verify for you if it's a good path to go for.
So you can have like a big idea that it's more towards the end of the list, but if you divide that one into smaller steps,
you run one experiment that just gives you a bit more evidence, and then maybe you code it apart. So now it's a less stuff to build, so you can say like, from 8 it's now 7 after this experiment, and the confidence is higher, so maybe it pumped, you know, few positions on the list.
I think this is like good to have like numbers and calculations. Of course you don't have to like lose yourself on that, but it's good that it's not like we're working on this because just someone thought it was a good idea. The next best thing to do, right?
I mean, you know, there are different approaches. So aside from ICE and RISE that I mentioned, there are a ton of different frameworks, a bit more sophisticated ones that personally I'm not a big fan of, but this is my own laziness. But you know, there are methods, more jokes than methods, but sometimes they work, like HIPPO. So that name was invented, I think, at Amazon. So that stays for highest paid person opinion. And this kind sometimes happens in some of the teams. So it's like you come there and then you're gonna have a leader, senior, CEO, VP of something, or director saying like, build this.
This is the next best thing.
This is the priority. Yeah. And it's fine. I mean, in our case also, it's product manager coming in and saying like, hey, priorities here, have them. But it's different in terms of how you're gonna solve them, and we are not judging them just by we want that. We have this framework here.
Exactly. And then you can also share this with the team, which when in our case I've seen it, so that's super good. So you receive kind of the whole idea bank, and you see why one priority is above of the other. So then everything is more clear and makes more sense.
And what's important is like if you meet a hippo, they're really nice animals. I mean, they're nice, and a lot of times people like founders, CEOs, or managers are there because they did something, like they usually have some track record and they had good idea at least at the beginning of the company. So it's super nice to listen to them, and if they act like this guy, please build it for me, maybe you can try whatever Juncal just said. So trying to explain like, hey, but let's think about why you want it, and then let's make it a bit more transparent, so then you can get a bit more ownership from whomever gonna be building that, either even management or
even if it's just like more like an intuition, then why, like what's the reasoning behind, and
so the people can understand more why they are building this stuff. So it's not that you need to be scared about HIPPO. You can talk with them and try to make them a home animal, and they're useful. There are times when they're useful, and especially when you're talking about like high level strategies in the company. Those people are CEOs and VPs for some reasons. I mean, they know something. So it is a joke, but there is some truth that you should know how to handle them. Another one that tries to attack actually experts and CEOs and maybe outside stakeholders is the Moscow framework, which basically tells you to take everything you want to build and divide that into the groups of must, can, maybe, and won't happen.
Okay.
So basically, you sit down with the expert or experts or yourself, if you believe you're expert from the domain, and you try to divide stuff that you see into those buckets. So what things must happen, like in order to be successful for a given objective or a goal. What could happen, so hey, and this is the nice to haves, would be amazing if we have them. And then things that maybe, that are like, hey, maybe, but you know. And then the last one is plainly saying like, and this won't happen. And this is for managing the expectations, basically. So if you're working with stakeholders, and imagine a setup where you have a company more divided into like divisions, and they like, you have sales and marketing and things like this. And sometimes in those scenarios, you're gonna have heads of marketing, sales, and things like this coming and trying to build a roadmap together of a product or a company or a technical solution. So you have a lot of stakeholders, and you need to talk to them of like, oh, but from marketing we need this, this, and this, and sales request this, and support needs this, and this, and this. So you can sit down with them and talk about like, okay, so for your space, what must happen, like, or you will die with the objective. What could happen? Okay, so without those things, you will still be able to move further the objective. Not gonna be the best, right? And then could, okay, those are totally like, you would like to have it would make your life amazing, but can we skip them or build them later? And then it's also important to say what's not gonna happen. So from the list, it's like, okay, please pick the ones that won't happen, or communicate that, hey, we'll not do this, 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 and this. And then this enables a bit better communication with the stakeholders. For a team, I'm not that sure if you would receive this kind of a backlog organization, if you would feel ownership.
Because it's based on the knowledge of the person who is defining it, or on the opinion of the person in a way, right? So, you wouldn't feel that much ownership towards like contributing to the product. That's
I would actually use this technique more often when scoping stuff. So when talking about what's the scope, what problems do we really want to solve, or what are the opportunities for us business-wise, then I'm using more this of like, okay, so if we don't have this, will it work, and things like this. But then moving that to the team, I would actually take an idea that was scoped by the Moscow and then move it as an idea, and then try to bounce it through the market if it's impactful enough, if we are sure enough, if we have enough like technical parts to be able to build it and things like this.
Storytelling is super important here, I would say. To show things to the team.
Like with every roadmap. So road mapping in general is about storytelling, and then giving informations in time, and tailoring those informations to the audience that's watching and listening.
But I think this moment of sharing is super important for the team that receives to get engaged and to get the ownership.
And on that one, this is the part where you shouldn't be fixed at numbers. So I saw product managers that would have like, hey, hello team, here's our amazing idea bank. Check out, here we have perfect number about customers that bought this somewhere, blah, 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 blah. And you spend time saying like, this is 6 and not 7. And people need to believe you why it's that important. And if you just go for storytelling, so you may have all of those numbers perfectly written and understood, but you should go for more reasons and why it's that impactful, or why we believe we are so confident that this is the next best idea for us to build, and build a context around it. So
how are we helping the user? What's the problem we're solving for the user?
Exactly, how the company will benefit from it, because at the end of the day we run business and things like this, and
which actually we take them into account to define the priorities. But instead of just delivering a number, you can deliver more like a full story.
Tell me, but I believe this can also help you on finding the more uncertain things, meaning like if we have ideas based in, hey, from business perspective we are that certain and this is the story behind, you also can feel better of like, shall I build this small thing first or maybe a bigger one? You have a justification, even if the purity is somewhere else. You can say always like, but we'll have more evidence or we'll unlock something. So then so you said at the beginning that, maybe I'm gonna be blocking a designer at the beginning. This is part of the ease. So hey, if we look at the project that will need like 6 weeks of the design and then 2 weeks of development, it's a bit harder than the one that we can deliver in a week, right?
Yes.
So then micromanaging those, it's actually good. It's just helping. It's important for all of this to be interconnected with everybody in a team. So as long as someone making those strategy or making this prioritization idea bank is aware about it, this changes the scores too. So so you designed something easier. Okay, so that easier stuff now is less effort. So you need less effort to build it because you already have a design for it. So it also improved and changed the purity, and the whole purity should change right after you create a design for this first thing, and then people may change the path or not. That depends on piece in which the team works and how many times you want to break it.
Yes, and to make the decision of this micromanagement of the tasks, as well understanding the business, so understanding how the priorities were made in the first place helps make these small decisions as well. So super important for the team. Yeah, listen to your product managers. No.
Challenge them.
Challenge them. Yeah.
Challenge them. That's
and ask questions like why.
Yeah, to understand why you're building and yeah. And I do believe like all of those techniques that I mentioned right now, they can be applicable in any scenario, in any scope. So it doesn't mean it's strictly for strategy. I do believe like even normal backlogs, if you would take the backlogs that you have and try to run them through this kind of frameworks, you could find opportunities. So the best and easiest thing that the ice gives you is you can super quickly find low-hanging fruits. So things that are high impact, low effort.
Okay. So quick things you can do that will have super big impact.
And in a lot of backlogs, they're either hidden on the bottom because they're the least you're gonna talk with the team because it's so easy. You need 5 minutes, so you have on top things that you need to refine, plan, and things like this. So they may get lost. With ice scoring or rice, you can get this low-hanging fruits initially, and then you can drop the idea bank. I do that sometimes for some projects. It's like even when we start projects. So I was talking more about strategy, but even thinking about one project, I usually like put all of my ideas that I will never share with anybody. Try to prioritize them, and then from there I go to pitch that we were talking about in the last Shape Up. Last episode about Shape Up, we were talking that you build pieces, right? So those pieces I also prioritize in my brain. So now nice to have comes from that's not gonna have too much impact to the user. It's not that core feature and things like this. Same as actually now when I'm thinking happening inside the batch in Shape Up. No.
Yes.
You also prioritize which scopes you're gonna ship, and you drop some.
Yes, because you have a fixed amount of time. So then how much can I do in this amount of time? So you prioritize, you try to find the things that will help solve the problem the most and that you can deliver in this time. And then the rest, maybe you can drop. So all the time you are, in a way, doing this priority.
And working on impact and effort, no? How impactful it is, and can I deliver that within the time? So even on that level, you can put this framework to work, and they will help you out.
Exactly. So I was focusing a lot on effort, but that's true that we are doing the impact too as well. I mean,
when we are talking, the question why we are building and what's the real problem we are trying to solve is the problem that you are talking about in the team. No, so. I believe this helps their prioritization too.
And as well, the confidence in a way, we can try to discover more inside the team. So when I said that developer and designer work together on the most complex thing, it's because we want to discover more. Yeah. To then,
understand what are the possibilities, what's used, what's not used. Like we had those discussions too. Like you jump on a screen and the first thing you do is actually, but how many users use it? Like, do we have evidences? Do we have feedbacks? Even when shaping, right? You go, do we have feedbacks about it and what they say? Which is evidences. So you have evidences towards the problem is real and impactful enough that you should work on it. Whenever you want to work on it.
And this helps you shape the solution when building the small details. Yeah.
So it's just, because I do believe a lot of what we are saying is just common sense. So you want to make the most impactful, the easier it is, it's better, and the more sure you are, it's also better for your product. But it really makes a difference the moment you start doing it. Like, not even as a process, but having that tool as a prioritization tool, like an idea bank,
like the framework,
one of the frameworks to just apply whenever you don't know what to do next, or whenever you have a list of things and you feel like they should be ordered. I really recommend using those frameworks, because you need to, even though I said you shouldn't spend too much time on those numbers, you need to spend some time on these numbers. And since you will be probably scoring a lot of ideas, you really have time on yourself, like do retrospective on what ideas you have, and you look at one and the other, and you need to put some number, and you have a temptation to put 10 on everything, but then it doesn't make sense. So if you're honest to yourself, you need to make decisions, and they are not good decisions, they're not easy, but you need to make them, and faster you're gonna make them, easier gonna be for you, and you can then try to follow some plans or make strategies out of it.
Yeah, that sounds, yeah, because that's true. All of them might be your ideas, or ideas you think they are super good, so you feel like they are all important, but it forces you to, okay, but now get into the detail. Do you have all the answers? Do you have all the confidence? Yeah,
and many times you have, like a request coming from somewhere from the company saying like, customers want this. And it's like you may assign impact to it easily. And then about confidence, 3 months from now, when you will be looking at it, you will be like, oh, someone said to me that's customers and from important markets, so for sure big confidence. But then you should think like, but did I saw those feedbacks? Like, how many customers were there? Like, were there 5, 10, or million? Like, if million, okay, I am pretty convinced. If it's 5, hey, maybe it's not that impactful even, like, or we need a bit more research, or maybe I need to find something else. So it's just a good exercise to do to yourself, to check how much knowledge you really have about what you're building or what you want to build.
Exactly. Even the type of customers, maybe, because they are from an area of the product that you don't want to follow anymore as a business.
Yeah, exactly. So then the impact can tell you if you're going towards the objective or not really anymore. Yeah.
I love it.
Good. That means I'm going good job. So good feedback for me.
Yeah, so basically the one we've been using the most is the ICE that you described.
That's our company standard that we use ICE scoring.
And sharing it with the team, and what else?
And then team is using it as you said. Yeah. So team is, I would say, maybe not consciously using ICE scoring, but I do believe the principles are the same. So you're looking for the same things that I'm looking, just step earlier. So I'm trying to, assess impacts of problems, and you try to find solutions that can be more impactful to the given problem. So
exactly, with the resources and time that we have normally.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much to listening and watching to this episode. Yes. I enjoyed it a lot. I hope you too.
It was super interesting.
Yeah. In the episode description, I will link to Itamar webpage. Feel free to contact him. This episode is super not sponsored, but I really like what we learned from him. Yeah. So listeners can check it and maybe apply it. Yeah, and there's like ton of examples of idea banks or how you can apply materials written, so you can read it and have something more structured if you want to dig deeper. Yeah. So we hope this helped and was interesting. Yeah, and that you enjoyed, and see you in 2 weeks from now in the next episode. Or listen to you. Sorry, our listeners. Yeah. We do remember about all of you, but there is a camera in front of our face, so it's hard to skip. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.